Yo, guys, what do you think of the game Garou? And I've got to ask you because we spent a week actually practicing this game and trying to learn the ins and outs of it. It's been a little hairy, and I noticed you guys kind of came into the stream every here and there, and it was cool getting to talk to you guys. And it seems like you have like lots of fond memories of Garou. So I was curious, when was like the first time you saw Garou, and how did you kind of like experience that as like fighting game players?
Which one of us do you want to go first?
You know what, RPG, why don't you go first?
Okay, so this is pretty easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
I first saw Garou. It was so I went to Rutgers. And Rutgers has several different campuses, and nobody likes when you have to have a class on a different campus because you have to get on a bus, and it's a bunch of bullshit, right? So sometimes, this is me telling on myself, sometimes when I would, get all my shit together, put all my shit in my backpack, get ready to go to the class on the other campus, get on the bus, get off the bus at the other campus's student center, and then just decide at that point, you know what, fuck it, I'm not gonna go to class today. And when that would happen for this one campus, which was Livingston campus, every campus has a student center, and every student center had a different arcade, and all the SNK games were on the Livingston Student Center. That and CVS 2. They also had CVS 2.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I don't think that they knew that it wasn't an SNK game. I think it was just someone on the board somewhere being like, all these characters are the same. Just put them all in the same arcade. So anyway, they had a Garou Mark of the Wolves cab, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so anytime I was on that campus, whether I would go to class or not, and usually it was not, I would stop by the arcade. And it was still 25 cents at that point to play.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I got a pocket full of change and, nothing but time to kill. And I would play Garou. And it was a lifesaver one year, which was also the year that I learned how to play CVS 2, because I had the awkward thing where you would have a class and then you would have like the next time period free, and then you have a class again, but you're on a different campus, so you can't go back to the campus where your dorm is, so you just have to stay there. And I'm like, all right, I'm burning an hour playing fighting games, and that was just, and then I would just play Garou. Part of it, I will admit though, I played Garou after I played CVS 2, because I recognized Rock, right? And like, I was like, at the time I was like, man, I'm going to pick up Rock in the game that he came from. And then I was like, big mistake. So I traveled around the roster, and I was just playing against the other people who were there. And I eventually landed on Grant. And I mean, at this time, this was the old GameFAQs, black text on white background, .txt, ages, we didn't really have tier lists or anything, like we didn't really know what we were doing. So I didn't explicitly know that Grant was broken, but he sure felt broken. And I was like, well, I'm just going to do this BS, and I quickly started, just becoming kind of that guy in the arcade, and it was a real fun time, like you were able to tell what campuses people had classes on by the games that they were good at. Because on the Bush Campus Center, it was filled with Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and at the College Ave Student Center, it was Tekken. And so, like, if you were a part of the fighting game community, you, like, were known. It was like, oh, that guy takes a bunch of science classes on Bush. He's sick at Marvel, You kind of just knew that. Or you were one of the people who played Smash Brothers in the basement, which I was too. But yeah, I have a lot of fun memories. I was only relatively familiar with SNK at the time. I never played a whole lot of KOF outside the one that was on the PlayStation demo disc, which I believe was like 95. You know, you were able to play.
Was college where you got into the argument over whether it was pronounced K-Dash or K-Prime?
That was probably college. 2006? Yeah, I think so. So yeah. But yeah, so I was not, super knowledgeable about SNK stuff, but I got more into SNK stuff as I started picking up Garou. Like the pipeline for getting into SNK games for me, right, was vague knowledge of them. Then I played CVS2, then I played Garou, then I played King of Fighters. That was my pipeline. Yeah. It's a very strange pipeline, but that was my pipeline. And then I was kind of hooked, and it was a really great time. I still think that Garou is an underappreciated gem. I am really excited for City of the Wolves. It looks amazing. My dog is also excited, if you can hear that in the background. So.
Oh, hell yeah. So RPG. I'm sorry, not RPG. What am I saying? I almost called retro RPG.
We are very similar looking.
We are very similar.
You guys look exactly the same, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't see my face either. Like,
Retro. What was your first experience with Garou?
It was later. It was actually a little similar to RPG. Like, I first played it in college, so I think that was around whenever I went to I left community college and went to like an actual university. So that was around 2009, I think. And I had really wanted, like, growing up, I always wanted a Dreamcast and never had one. In 2009 is when stuff got super cheap for it.
Yeah. Yep.
So I managed to get a Dreamcast and just a bunch of games and like a lot of fighting games. And then one of them was like the Dreamcast version, for whatever reason, is the only one that still calls itself Fatal Fury Mark of the Wolves.
Huh.
And all I got was a disc, so no book, no nothing. So I put it in there, I load it up, and I see like a dude named Harry, and I was like, nah, this can't be the same guy. I was like, but it says SNK, so I go over, I was like, why the fuck does Iori look so weird, and why is he going by Freeman?
Oh.
So I select him and realize it is not the same person.
Mm-hmm.
And
Retro, we have Iori at home.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. We have Remy at home. Like,
yeah.
But like my experience with like Fatal Fury, that goes like way back to like elementary school. We had like a big red machine, and it had like Fatal Fury, and I think it was like Fatal Fury 2 and like KOF 97 or 99, one of them. So I didn't play Fatal Fury a ton. Like, I knew who Terry and Mai and a couple other ones of them were. But like I said, whenever I saw Garou and I saw Terry, and he looked nothing like what I remember him looking like, so I had no clue what the hell was going on in this. I thought it was a weird knockoff game for the longest time. A lot of fun playing it. And then I ended up talking to people in like some of our local area, because it was mostly Tekken people, but we had a few people that played 2D stuff, and they were basically, all they ever told me is it was SNK's Third Strike.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But that's...
I feel at the time I get where people were coming from, but I don't think it's that great, that much of an apt comparison these days. But I could talk about that later.
Yeah,
like Garou and Third Strike, Yeah,
I think that's on the docket too. Yeah, for sure.
I don't think mechanically it's the same, but I think the idea of like we're moving our generation ahead kind of thing, I can see the connection, but that's about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, that, and like sort of you could make the comparison to, I mean, obviously Third Strike is a prettier game, but they are both like beautiful sprite based games, and they, I think like in general the Just Defend is sort of pretty similar to parrying, but
I will fight you on that. I will fight you on that.
Okay. All right. I'd be willing to. I would love to hear your side of things, because I haven't touched Third Strike from a perspective of actually trying to learn it again in a very long time. So,
the the just defend and the parry are complete opposite technique. The just defend does not carry with it inherent risk because you have to block at the last minute. So if you mistime it, you're still blocking. Parry, you have to press forward or down. You have to actively not be blocking. So one is just you are blocking, but you can get a better block, right? Which is the same as it is in like BlazBlue, because BlazBlue has just defense and stuff like that. And one is you are trading your block for instantly turning the match around. They serve two very different purposes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I suppose that does make a lot of sense. Just parrying itself being a hell of a lot more risky. And more like, and I think that's one of the hardest aspects of Third Strike in general is just its parry mechanic, at least for newer players. I'm not that accustomed to it, so I remember when I first started learning it, I was like, my God, I want to learn how to parry because it's so cool. But then you kind of realize that it's just meant to get you out of just bad situations in general, isn't it?
Oh, it's the thing about Third Strike, and I'm also a huge Third Strike fan. It's my favorite Street Fighter. The thing about Third Strike that makes it different from other Street Fighters is literally nothing is safe. Everybody can always call you out on a read, right? If they know what they're gonna do, they parry, and anything parried creates advantage for the other person. Gets the other person a hit, right? Gets them the combo of choice.
Yep.
So that makes it a very different, game from a lot of Street Fighters. You can't fireball spam, for example, because the other guy will just parry each one, get more meter. You can't really poke safely. You can't play footsie safely because one parry low kick means that you're going to eat 25 to like 50% of your bar, depending on how many resources the other person has. Yeah. Right. So the game is a lot more cerebral. In my opinion, you can't flowchart Third Strike, because as soon as you start flowcharting, your flowchart gets parried and then you lose. And that's what I love about it. And they really haven't made a lot of games like it since. And I know why they haven't made a lot of games like it since, because that is an instant way to discourage anyone from playing the game. Yeah. Right? Like if you are new getting into, like, you can't, there are no newbie strategies in Third Strike. Even if you're picking a high tier, you go in, you pick Yun, you dash punch, you Ganajin. In any other fighting game, that would be great. But someone who has Third Strike experience is just like, I'm going to parry the first hit you do, make you eat a 25% combo, then I'm going to stun you, then I'm going to win. And so it is an extremely hostile game, but it is very fun if you get into it. And I will actually say, one of the ways that I think Garou is like Third Strike is that it is an extremely hostile game. Rewarding for people who put in the time, but it is an extremely hostile game that does not hold your hand and makes you eat shit if you just go in not knowing anything. Yep.
Yeah, it definitely, I don't think it has as steep of a drop-off as Third Strike had felt to me as a newer player, because I started kind of playing, like, when I was like, I first decided I'm going to get good at fighting games. It was literally like, I'm going to play Street Fighter 4, and I'm going to try Third Strike, and I tried both of them at the same time, and they were both kind of a nightmare to learn as, like, someone who was new. Third Strike felt like it was more fun. I don't know why. I mean, in different ways, but it felt like way more of a drop off in terms of, like, in skill in general. I was like, my God, parrying is intimidating as a newer player, because I just every time I had to risk something, and most of the time I missed the parry every fucking time, unless there was a fireball, you know what I mean? And then I was like, cool, I'm gonna try to practice my fireball, my parries on the fireball, and then
Yeah, Garou isn't as intimidating, but it does have, like, the secret forbidden knowledge, right? Like, Garou has moves that are anti-airs, right? So, like, they're moves that you do in anti-air, but they're from the air, so it stuffs the anti-air.
Yeah.
You know, and you just kind of have to know, like you just have to know, you know, or else you just get your face beaten in.
Before we kind of like go too far off the rails with this, I would actually want to hear Quint's opinion, or Quint's first time experiencing Garou, because I feel like he hasn't gotten to really talk yet.
Well, let's see. The first time I played Garou was on vacation with my family, actually. We went to Reno, and we stayed at the Circus. And the Circus has an entire floor of the hotel dedicated to an arcade. And they sectioned off all of like the different I guess like publishers and brands and stuff like that. And so I mostly stuck to the SNK type area because I love Metal Slug. And I saw somebody playing Garou and I was like, oh, that looks kind of interesting. I could give that a shot. And I got absolutely annihilated. The buttons barely worked, and it wasn't my best experience on an arcade game. But it was still oddly fun. And then I probably wouldn't play it again for 5 years until like one of my like super weeby buddies was like, hey dude, you should play this game. And honestly, I didn't really come back to it until like last week.
Yeah.
when literally Mr. Backlog here was like, yay, we're playing Garou. We're learning Garou, and then we're going to review Garou.
Yep.
I was like, okay. And then I picked Pirate Wife, and everything was fine.
Yeah, no, that's good job. You did it. You won the game.
There you go. Pirate
I
Wife
take
for the
more
win.
damage, but it's okay. It's okay. If I just keep pressuring, they can't damage me.
True. You don't stop pressing. They can't stop you.
Yeah. Like my history of Garou
so
was not very extensive, and it definitely shows in my gameplay.
Yeah, man, I feel
But
you.
I feel like it didn't feel super hard to like get like a base in the game though, so that really appealed to me. And I suppose we'll talk about that more later.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
that was basically how I first encountered Garou, was as a child in an arcade.
I think I was telling RPG. I know for me, the first time I ever played it, I believe was I had burned it to a Dreamcast disc because okay, so I think you guys are
as one does.
retro and our RPG are a little bit older than me and Quint. So I know by the time the Dreamcast came out, I was like 10 years old, maybe 11. And I was like right at the perfect point for the Dreamcast to just make the most impact on a child ever. Where I'm like, my God, Power Stone's the coolest game ever. And I would go home, I'd run home every day and I would go play it for like a couple hours instead of doing my homework. So like later on, as I got older, went through like one Dreamcast, another one. Then I was like, all right, I'm gonna start burning games for this because I don't have any money and I'm in college and I want to play some video games. So I just started running through the entire catalog and be like, what's this game? Goddamn Star Gladiator. I'm gonna try that. Okay, I'm gonna try this. Garou, what is that? All right, that sounds really cool. So I burned it, tried it. I was like, man, this game is amazing. Then I would bring it to my friends. I'd bring my Dreamcast to my friend's house. We would all play like Third Strike on the Dreamcast, and then we would, I would throw in Garou too. And to me, I think that's the other reason why I have those comparisons of Third Strike and Garou is because they were always like, we would always interchange them. We would play one or then we'd play the other. And they were sort of, they felt like sister games in a way to where they came out kind of the same year, I think. Like, was it like 1999?
I think Garou came out like the next year or like 6 months later. I know it was the later game.
Yeah. So I didn't quite get the sort of the campus rivalry experience that you guys got, which sounds pretty rad. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of jealous.
right?
I wish I had that.
Freaking Garou Fight Club over here.
I had the post arcade era where like they hit the dip, and then all my arcades in my local area like disappeared, until fairly recently.
I had I played too many fighting games and had to drop out of college era. So.
Oh man. Oh man.
That's
Yeah.
a rough one.
I mean, so very quick story. Sorry, I know I talk a lot.
No, man.
But very quick story. Me and my friend Ben, in college, actually did want to create a club specifically for playing video games at a competitive level, right? We tried to get it made. And the registrar was like, this has no academic value. We will not, allow you to make a charter for a club. So we decided, fuck it, we're going to do it anyway. And my friend, who I was going to say his name, but now I'm realizing that this might implicate him, so I will not say his name.
Okay.
Knew how to pick locks. So what we would do is we would break into the biggest lecture halls after they closed down for the day, and hook up our consoles to the big projectors that they would use for, like lessons, and play, and the lag was atrocious, but we didn't care, and play, fighting games, whether it was Smash, whether it was Third Strike, anything like that, on the big projectors. And then eventually, and we, this was back when Facebook was literally just for college people, right? Mm-hmm. So we would put out notices on Facebook, we would hang them around campus, and we called ourselves the Underground Gaming Society, right? Because we were doing it even though Rutgers didn't want us. So they eventually took us aside and were like, look, here's the problem. We can't have you breaking into our club. We've never had a problem before where students were trying to break in to classrooms. That makes no sense. But we can't have you doing that. That's very bad. But at the same time, your sort of club that's not a club has like 120 people who routinely come. So this is what we're gonna do. We found a dead club that hasn't done stuff for years, right? Just on the books. We're gonna say that club is you now. And you're just going to take over their stuff, They were like some sort of strategic gaming club, but it was like, different. It was for like a different type of games, You're just going to take over their charter. And this is going to become official, and no one's going to talk about this ever again, right? And we were like, dope. So we did that. We got funding, and the UGS still exists today and runs majors out of Rutgers. And that was a thing that me and my friend Ben started because we knew someone who knew how to pick locks, and now it's just, now it's still a thing that's still happening, and it was kind of fun. I went there like 10 years ago, and I brought the ratty piece of blue paper that says you guys are an official club now, and I gave it to them, and that was a good time.
That's awesome. It's really cool.
I just went on that. I went on that tangent because you were like the campus rivalry sort of experience, and that's kind of where it came from. So,
I know, like when I think of that, it's like part of my sort of like love for fighting games and things of that nature was from my brother, who is a little, he's a few years older than me. Like, actually, I think we're like 7 years apart. So it's enough to where he would tell me about how him and his friends would get together and they would play like Tekken 3. And like, that was a thing where it's like, you pass the paddle. And so I loved that sort of culture. There was some kind of like mysticism to it because I was a kid. And it just kind of really got me to be like, I'm going to try to get good at Tekken Tag 1. And of course, I'm just sitting there looking at the move list. There's no sort of like technicality to it. I'm just like, I know how to do, Lee's unblockable. And then, that's sort of, I'm like, I'm good at this game. I can do the snake
down
style
forward in one, baby.
with Lei Long. Hell yeah, dude. I thought I was really cool. But yeah, man, I totally get that. That's really dope. So I feel like, when people talk about arcade culture, there's a certain aspect of that that's missing from, playing online that you really there's an X factor that you don't get without being in a room with your friends and playing on a television. That, you know, I envy people able to do that for sure. So speaking of which, I think the week other than that was like really awesome, and I actually absolutely love this game. I was able to pick it up relatively quickly, and I was kind of surprised about that. Like, I had somebody from the Discord come in and just start coaching me on how to play Garou, and really one of the more friendly communities I can think of is like some of the I think that a lot of the older fighting game communities really want to keep their games alive. So when they see somebody playing it, it's like, oh yeah, let's, you know, and he jumped in, he started telling me how to, you know, teaching me how to play Terry, because, you know, that's who I was playing. It was Terry Bogard. And you know, and I really had a blast. And when you had mentioned the dive kick thing, where you're like, you just have to know, the anti-airs for Terry are rough. It's a rough, like starting out, it is rough, man, because Quint was playing Bijanet, and he was literally just able to stuff me quite often and be in my face, because, you know, they want you to use Terry's like stand B, and like, to, you know, you have to do that before they get close to you. But if they get past this point here to Terry, he's fucked, man. Like, there's not much he can do. He can try to, you know, do his power dunk, but that gets stuffed too. So there's a lot of just like, you have to be incredibly preventative with this game, and it kind of makes you like, you know, appreciate the neutral a little bit more when you don't have those, like, you know, your rising tackle or things like that. But I mean, other than that, like, I found the system to be very simple but very fruitful. Quint, I don't know if you had any kind of like, you know, highlights you wanted to talk about with your week or anything in general with the game.
Like I said, I felt like the game was not super difficult to pick up.
Yep.
I think my character choice helped in that. So the more I play, the more helpless I feel, I guess, because I start to realize some of the super degenerate stuff that can go on during the game. And that did put a little bit of a damper on my fun scale.
The fun scale.
But it was still really interesting to just like literally just pick up the game and learn it for like a week with backlog, because, you know, we do this with like quite a few games now, but this one has probably been the most fun.
I'll take it.
Just sit down and shoot the shit while playing some Garou, you know?
I didn't have to drag Quint through a game. This is amazing. This is, you know, honestly, that is a huge compliment to the game itself. That's amazing.
And he says I'm spamming a dive kick, but realistically, I'm just doing air heavy kick.
Oh my god.
Oh, are you talking about the one where she just can go across screen and she just keeps kicking?
No, that's her dive kick.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
the air heavy kick, she just kind of like sticks her foot down.
yeah, she literally just jumps, and it looks like a dive kick. She points her foot straight down, and so
I'm
like
just doing short hop and doing kick down.
You know, like Terry, he like when he kicks like this. She kicks like this when she's kicking at you. So her cross up is kind of, or her heavy kick's pretty wild.
The degeneracy is like part of the fun, though, right? Like,
I knew you were gonna say that.
Just how
crazy.
I get it. It's an old fighting game. That's part of like the charm, right? It's like, this is janky as hell. I'm digging it, right? Kind of energy.
I mean,
I see. I feel it.
It's not like, you know, there are old games that are like Kusoge, right? This is not a Kusoge, but like, that kind of is the charm. Whether you're playing Third Strike, whether you're playing Garou, whether you're playing Marvel 2, you know, like, they let you get away with bullshit, you know, like, and I'm more than willing to admit that the reason why I like Garou is because I will do some bullshit and then laugh that they let me get away with that. You know,
Yeah.
which is press any button while playing Grant. But no, like, it's just it's you don't get fighting games like this anymore, and I'm not necessarily saying that this style of design is better, but compare it to like old school RPGs, right? Old school RPGs like the old Final Fantasies, you know, the like Chrono Trigger, stuff like that, Breath of Fire, they were broken and busted as hell. And half of the fun was taking that system and breaking it over your knee.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
You're like, you know, like I'm level 99 with all my characters. I have gold studs on everyone. People, you know, I farmed power tabs. Let's do this. Let's beat Lavos, right? You don't get that in modern day RPGs. In modern day RPGs, everything is very safe and very balanced to make sure that you have a middle of the line gameplay experience no matter what you do. This is just that in fighting games, right? Like, if you're playing a modern day fighting game, you are never going to get a situation where someone can just like face roll, you know, the buttons and win like you did, you know, back in the days. Like you would never get a Bejanet or Grant in modern day King of Fighters or Garou. I say that now. Please record that for when City of the Wolves comes out.
Got you.
Because I may be wrong.
Somebody clip that.
Yeah, somebody clip that. I may be wrong, but
I'm glad you said King of Fighters or Garou, because it'll be like Tekken 8. Tekken 8, you can just mash and mash. It's fine.
So my heart does kind of sing when I get to do the stupid things, not just because I'm winning, but because it does genuinely make me laugh to be like, that dive kick I have just cannot be stuffed by DPs. Cool, I'm gonna do that. That's fun, you know. Like, I don't know if you feel the same way, Retro. I don't know if you like, or you know, Backlog. If any of you guys like felt that same sort of sparkle.
I
you know?
I have a clip exemplifying that.
Really?
I fall into like a weird little situation with it, in that part of the reason I like the older games is because like people do still figure out new tech in these games, but the games are done. This isn't like, you know, we get like Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6, where we're going to get 6 seasons out of this. New mechanics are going to be added later, new stuff. I'm fine with a game having dumb, broken bullshit in it, as long as it's not dumb, broken bullshit that is added 3 years into the game. Does that make sense? Like, I like that Grant is busted, and Grant will always be busted.
Yes.
Right. The question is whether the tournament you have will let you play Grant. I really don't know how to describe. Like, I like it. I think it's fun. Is it something that I'm going to take it like super seriously when I play it? No. And like, do I think it's like what's the term you used earlier? RPG Kusoge?
Yeah, Kusoge. Yeah.
Kusoge. It's not a Kusoge, and I can say that because I'm not good at it. So I'm only good at really bad games. So I don't know. Like, it holds a special spot. Like, you have to ride that middle ground for me between, like, as long as everyone has some dumb broken bullshit in it, or something that's exploitable, or most of the cast does, then I'm fine with it.
I honestly, you know what? I'll say this. It's not TMNT Tournament Fighter.
Yeah.
Like, I had the full experience of that game when they dropped it and they had it online. I think I was like playing against oh my god, what is her name? It's not coming to me at the moment, but like there's like a decent tournament player. It's one of Nerd Josh's friends who, like, I was playing against them and they just played the shark, and the shark literally just like flies at you with a dive kick, and then he grabs you, and then it's like unblockable, and like the only way to unblock a bunch of stuff is just to perfect backdash with the turtles. The game is just so fucking broken. But like something like this where it's like everything's broken, but everybody knows about the broken shit, and it's sort of like there are answers to it. It's not like Street Fighter 6 where the complete picture isn't done yet. You can go to someone and say, yo, I'm in this situation. How do I deal with it? And they're like, well, after 10 years of playing this game, this is what you got to do. And most of the time it's don't get into it. But other times it's like, okay, you could do this with this character, but you know, whatever. I love that. I love that but also it also reminds me of like Marvel 2 and Street Fighter 2. I think like Hyper Fighting or something. When I watch tournaments of that now, you learn about new tech people are still coming up with. I love that. That is awesome. I don't know if the same thing is happening with Garou, but I do enjoy that old, you know, game factor. Like, no. This game takes years to get good at. You got to have a mortgage to play this game. I don't know.
There are. Don't say that because I'm not successful enough to have a mortgage. But anyway,
look, I said that as a figure of speech, but all of us will not have a mortgage. You know,
I'll tell on myself. It's fine. But I will say this. This is as boomer as I'm gonna get, and this is gonna be I'm gonna turn on the boomer right now. Right? I do miss the era when fighting games lasted long enough in a state for us to figure out this shit.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think balance patches are bad because usually people are like, "Oh, you hate balance patches?" That's not true. I do hate that balance patches seem to be made out of knee-jerk day one the day one sort of impressions of games. And that's why, I mean, look, I know I'm salty. That's why grapplers are never good anymore. You know, that's why, that's why we get these games where the final top tiers are all DLC, you know, because they're the ones that have had the fewest balance changes made to them, you know, like, there is something magical about the fact that only in the last 3 years, people have realized in Marvel 2 that Dhalsim is top tier.
Yep.
You know,
yeah. That was one of the cool. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. You know, it's like that game is old as shit. And for the longest time, we said these are the gods, and that will never change. And it changed. You know, like, and I wish to a certain degree that we had that capability, and we don't. Because we don't have good game preservation when it comes to version control. I really wish, I so deeply and wholeheartedly wish that they would let you roll back your version, kind of like they did in Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
You know, that they would let you do that, you know, and let you play on whatever patch version you want. I know that's really technically complicated, you know, I know that that's difficult, but I really wish they let people keep figuring it out, because if they did, then every so often you could be like, oh man, look at this thing I found on this patch version. And then that could, you know, get into like a future patch update, and people could take that into account. And you just don't get to do that anymore. And I think that's another thing about old games that I just really like. Like, you said you didn't know if new tech is being discovered in Garou. Yes, there's still new tech being discovered in the competitive scene. You know, like the tier lists are being reconsidered. Luckily not for Grant, my character. But, you know, like the tier lists are still being reconsidered to this day. You know, like it's not set in stone, and there is something magical about that. It's like people have found new styles of movement, you know, as recent as like 6 years ago or something, you know, and like that's really crazy when you think about it. And like I kind of love that, and I kind of wish we could do that with modern day games. And like, do I think, you know, like yes, I think balance patches are better for customer retention, but I do, you know, the boomer in me does kind of miss the day where it's just, let's just break this game as wide open as we possibly can for years, you know?
You were who the materia system was made for.
Yes, I love the materia system.
Exactly. Yeah, you were the
Materia system is great. And in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, they only let you get 2 all materias, and that is a slap in the face, good sir.
Yeah.
Like, you used to be able to buy all materias in the fucking store. The fact that they only gave you 2 in the whole game in Rebirth was an insult. So
Remind me again, do they let you fully level it up and does it duplicate, or is it just you just get what you get? Okay.
You get what you get. It doesn't duplicate in the remakes.
And
Cowards, I tell you, cowards.
you know, we could definitely go off on Final Fantasy VII, but like, I love the game's story, but man, does that gameplay also really fucking kick it up to the next level. You know, of being one of the best RPGs of all time is just sort of like, once you're able to break into the materia system, like anything's possible. What do you want to do? All right, I want to have 3 Knights of the Round in 1 turn. Fuck it, let's make it happen, dude. Yeah. I want to delete Sephiroth from the game. Okay, sounds good. Bye-bye.
Yeah, I love it. I love shit like that. That makes me so happy. Nothing gives me a eureka moment more than you going, wait a minute, does this dumb bullshit work? Hold on, this dumb shit bullshit works, you know? Like, I love that. And I love that whether it's RPGs or fighting games, you know? And I don't get that as much with modern games as I do with old games. Again, I am not saying that this means old games are better. Yeah. Like, I think pretty much categorically we could say that old games were not quote unquote better. It's just a thing that I miss.
Yeah. Though I will say that playing this game also made me realize where a lot of ideas for systems came from in general, which was kind of wild. Like the top system in general is it reminds me quite a bit of, you know, a little bit of Drive Impact, and in the new version it is going to basically be a version of Drive Impact with an armor hit. I think it'll probably be a better version. I think they're going to tame, you know, Drive Impact in general to like a better version than Street Fighter 6. At least I hope they are.
God, I hope so.
But it looks like they're adding a lot of new stuff, but I think top is a really cool mechanic. I wish some characters' tops were better, but again, that would be one of those things where if in a patch, vice versa, they could fix that, you know? Terry's top is terrible. Top attack is horrible.
Oh yeah.
But then they could like patch B Jeanette's terrible health and guard crush, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know if I want that because she would move up even higher in the tiers.
I will actually say, this is another boomer me coming out, right? They renamed top to Spug.
Yeah.
Why? Why? They had a perfect fucking acronym. Why?
I think hold on, I had it here in the notes. They renamed it to SPG.
Yeah, Spug. Like, I don't get it.
Wait, they renamed it to that in what? In the new game they renamed it?
Yeah, in City of the Wolves.
Yeah.
It's the same system. It's still the top system. You know, you choose where in your health bar you want it to do. But now instead of toppin, it's spiggin.
I couldn't find that out.
And I'm like, that's just a failure of marketing. What guy at 5 p.m. made that decision? Like, holy crap.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it should go back to being the top system. It's a better name. I don't know why. Like, they also like put the SPG on the health bar. It doesn't really look great. I was like, why don't they just leave it like blank? It should be fine. They also seemingly added a new like overdrive mechanic as well, to where that's going to let you now link moves into other moves, which I think is going to make this game really fucking fun and probably really fucking broken too.
So yeah, everybody in City of the Wolves plays like Nago in Strive. It's called the Rev system.
Oh yeah.
So basically, it's kind of like you take Nago and you take the Street Fighter 6 Drive system and you make them kiss. So yeah, you make them kiss and then you write a fic about it. But no,
man.
Basically, what it is you use doing something, you know, in the game, like a cancel or whatever, makes you rev up. And as you rev up, basically shit about your character gets better. But if you overheat, then it's like burning out in Street Fighter 6, where now you can't do anything and you take a bunch more damage and you take a bunch more block stun and everything sucks, right?
Yeah.
So your goal is to always be at the top of that rev meter. But that also means that you can do fewer cool things like cancels and whatnot, you know? So I think that's really interesting. I think that's going to be one of the biggest draws for City of the Wolves when it comes out.
It honestly feels a little bit like how in Exard they punished you for backdashing a lot or not engaging. I notice a lot of newer games are like trying to force you to always engage because they don't want you to lame people out. So it kind of turns into like more games like, you know, becoming a rushdown game, which I mean, hey, for newer players, I think that's good. But I think I've heard complaints about that in general. And I was kind of curious to see what you guys thought about, you know.
It's to me, it's just kind of the new phase in which stuff is going. It's becoming more rushdown happy. I think it's a little bit tied to as fighting games and as like stuff like Evo has started to become televised and be on TV. It's in general, it's more entertaining for the spectator.
Yeah,
I would put it like that. Like I'm somebody like I like playing like a slow charge character. I like zoning people out and doing like boring shit like that. I play lame if anyone's ever watched me play games a lot. Like it to me that's fun. I think that there's skill involved in it. I think there's all these things, but to the general person who's just might happen to turn it on there, they're not going to want to see like random dude or whoever sitting in the corner spamming a fireball. Like I hate to say this, but like for Evo last year, the double it was for MK. Who's Raiden's brother? What's his name? Fujin. The double Fujin match where it just had people walk up, take a hit, and then run away, and they did that shit for fucking, I think, 10 rounds. Even as somebody who likes, I guess, kind of gameplay like that, that is some boring shit to watch. Like,
yeah. I mean,
MK11 special.
It could be worse, man. It could be like two happy chaoses just like firing at each other from full screen. I don't know. I don't particularly enjoy that kind of gameplay either, but I can also see why someone would play that way. I mean, I think the window for self-expression might be getting smaller, but I think certain games have found ways to get around that. What do you guys think? You think like with Tekken 7 having the, you know, the rage system, like the rage drive system, I think is it called rage drive, Quint? Am I crazy here?
Which one? I mean, there's just the rage system. There's rage drive,
like
rage
engager,
arts.
like the basically it makes you do max
Tekken
mode.
8.
Yeah,
Tekken 8.
Yeah.
That's Tekken 8.
Yeah. You mean where characters can go in heat, and I will always describe it as characters going in heat, no matter what you tell me to do.
Yeah.
I feel like there's more expression these days, actually. Like, I feel like we have more options in like combos and stuff like that than we've had before, which it's kind of weird. Like Tekken 8 is a really good example of this because the heat system added so many different options for like ways to like extend your combo or pressure your opponents or just do something simple as like playing stronger footsies. Like I feel like self-expression is gaining rather than declining.
I would actually agree with that. But I would actually both agree with Quint and Retro. The thing about, you know, going into heat that sticks out to me is going into heat makes people pop off, right? I'm not gonna stop. You invited me. This is your fault.
No, keep going, please.
Going into heat makes people pop off. Going into heat makes people like get really fucking excited, right? Everybody explodes when people go into heat, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay, yeah.
You just release it all at once.
Yeah, all at once, right? It's just, you know, it's and I mean, I'm like the funny thing is I also actually mean this as much as I'm being a 5-year-old right
aware,
now.
Yeah.
Like It is a new mechanic that allows people not only to express themselves more, but it creates these high intensity moments that are really fun to watch as a spectator.
Yeah.
Right? Because like people, like someone might be, in a previous Tekken game, if someone was, on the back foot, low on health, the only thing that they could really do was kind of block it out and try and find their way in. That's really satisfying from a gameplay perspective when you get that clutch win. But from a spectator point of view, it's like, oh, the guy who's on low health loses. That doesn't create a good narrative. But now it's like, oh, the guy's at low health. He has rage activated. He pops a heat engager. He guard points through the other attack. Short combo, rage art, turns the whole thing around. That's that sort of, the one good pass, leads to like a 50-yard run for a touchdown, sort of story that people love in sports that we do kind of lack in esports. And I do think that, like games are made so that we get more Evo Moment 37s, basically. And I do think that is a good thing. I think that is a good thing.
Yep. I agree with that. I mean, I know I've sat down, over the years and I've watched Evo most every year. And I know I sat down and I watched Evo with my roommate who doesn't play fighting games. And we were watching Tekken 7. And I don't remember who was playing at the time. It was probably like me and somebody else. And I would watch them. He would watch them like wave dash in and then wave dash back out, and then like they would just kind of be doing this dance. And they're like, they're just doing the same thing over and over again. What even are they doing? That looks weird. Why are they doing that? And it's like it makes sense to sort of have these sort of big extravagant things. But when me and you might be looking at it, we are like, oh yeah, well he's wave dashing really well, and he's trying to get him to bait him to move. But you're saying to follow that narrative of, I understand what's happening now. Oh man, the big thing happened. Yeah, that absolutely tracks. Yeah. And I think even Garou, City of Wolves, it has the same mechanics, but what it's doing now is it's accentuating those mechanics by giving them flair and saying like, I know what's happening. He's doing this. He's going green now when he's doing the the chain overdrive attacks, right? Whereas if you watch Garou now, you'll see Terry like he'll feint break, or I don't know what the exact term is, but he'll do like a feint move and then he'll do like another heavy and he'll punch again, and he has to do these feints. The only kind of signal you have is a noise. There's not a whole lot of animation between those two things. So so for someone not really knowing of like what's going on, they may not appreciate that as well as, hey, he hit heat engager, hell yeah, you know what I mean? I'm not saying it's dumb, I'm not saying it's dumber, but you know what I mean. It's the narrative, as you said.
I'll say this: when it comes to newer games, I don't mind that they're becoming more aggressive. I don't mind that they become more showy. I just want to see, how do I word this? Because making your game as more aggressive is really great for like your rushdown characters or your Shoto characters, your all-rounders. I just want to see, if you're going to go that route, then you need to do something to balance like the grappler character or the zoner character. In 6, they kind of did the right thing with Zangief. He gets that terrifying low run when he does a drive rush.
Yeah,
you get someone like me who plays Manon, and somebody just checked out whenever they did her drive rush for that day. She's gonna take one step forward and maybe do an attack. Oh, so I'm just not using that mechanic. Like,
yeah, the grappler definitely has struggled as well, because RPG was saying, essentially the
grappler isn't allowed to be good.
Yeah,
and especially in modern day, the grappler is not allowed to be good, because the grappler. This is something I've said for the longest time, is that to me, the grappler and the zoner fit into this weird thing where their main goal is to dictate the match for it. The rushdown and the Shoto, they like being in control. The zoner doesn't want you getting close, so they're constantly keeping the Shoto out or the rushdown out. And the grappler wants the rushdown person to get close to them just so they can get that easy grab. But either way, the person playing the popular fighting, or like the popular fighting style in it, isn't being allowed to dictate and do what they want to do.
Yeah.
You have to respect both the zoner and the grappler for it. The negative side is those also tend not to be the most entertaining thing to watch sometimes.
Well, it's that people like pressing buttons, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody likes pressing buttons. 99.9% of the people who play and watch fighting games are pressing buttons, right? Both the grappler and the zoner punish you for pressing buttons. So it feels to, again, 99.9% of the people who play, it feels like it's unfair.
Yeah.
Right? Like, people were complaining about Potemkin and Strive, day one. He was not top tier. He never will be top tier, but it's just they saw, I get grabbed once and half my health is gone. And it's like, yeah, well, if you get touched, you get grabbed 3 times with pot, you die. If you get touched 3 times by Soul Bad Guy, you also die. So it's just, you're pressing fewer buttons. So it feels like to a lot of people, you're breaking the rules of the game. People, and that's the thing for spectators too. Spectators want to see buttons pressed, That is why, the Zangief, jump scare drive rush is a really great way to do that, because half screen Zangief suddenly, runs at you and like SPDs you, people will pop off for that, and similarly, I think City of the Wolves with the whole rev system is going to be similarly interesting, because it's one little meter that makes it really clear, where is it, where's the meter? If it gets closer to this side, that means something crazy is going to happen one way or another, like either one person's going to pull something out like that's phenomenal, or they're gonna overheat and the other guy is gonna do that,
I'll give them this. I like that at least in that trailer we saw a grappler in it. We saw all the others for it. Like when we looked at Street Fighter, how long was it before we saw Zangief or really anything with Manon that was actually like substantial versus like we introed with Luke and Ryu. And then like a lot of our stuff that we had going forward was like a lot of the newer characters, which is fine. But then it's like, I think for Manon, all we saw was basically her flashy throws and stuff like that. And then we saw like everybody's super, because every trailer basically just shows off your big flashy super because that's what people want to see. That is something that did kind of stand out to me in City of the Wolves, is like I said, like when we saw gameplay with Tizoc, because to me it at least gives off the impression that he wasn't an afterthought.
Yeah. He was the main thought. So
I want to touch on the whole grappler thing. Fighting game community is like burned down when a grappler's good. We're literally watching it with Tekken 8 right now because King is a freaking menace in that game. He can play his full offensive game as well as just grapple you into a coma, and people are pissed, right? So the grappler being good just tends to lead to an overall bad game health, which is unfortunate.
Does it though? Because back in the days of Accent Core, Pot was top tier and people thought it was really cool. The thing is, you have to let them cook though. You're never gonna know if you don't let that top tier grappler cook. Like people still complain about top tiers. If it wasn't gonna be King, it was gonna be someone else.
It's Dragunov, King, Azucena, it goes.
So, people are complaining about King, but the only reason they're complaining about King right now is because they're losing to something other than pressing buttons. It is a different type of loss, and that loss does not feel good. And I get that. I get that it doesn't feel good, but there is a whole other group of people out there that likes grapplers and zoners. You can't make them the second-class fighting game players.
We need representation in fighting games.
If you want to be a zoner, you just go play an NRS game. You're the star there, all right? You're the superhero.
I grew up in Marvel too, right? I played Cable. I played Team Scrub in Marvel too. God. You know, I played
Cable was really fun. So
I played Cable Sentinel Captain Commando, you know, so I did stupid shit then, you know.
I'm just gonna say this because this is what I said during like the Street Fighter movie thing. Don't get hit. That's all. In the case of a grappler, just don't get grabbed. It's your fault if you got grabbed. You got into the no zone, which is basically within 3 feet of a grappler. You get in, you do that, like, because my issue, I don't know enough about the new Tekken game for it, but from what I understand, at least going back to like Tekken 7 for it, you can break all of King's grabs, right? You just have to make the correct guess. The problem is that you're making a guess.
Yeah, you got to
it takes away, and it takes away the safety that the block gives you with every other character, because the throw is meant to be the counter to somebody blocking. Like, it just happens that throw deals a shit ton of damage, and you don't have a lot of answers to it if you don't.
That's kind of King's problem right now.
I think
you lose all agency in most encounters with King, and I think that is one of the major problems that people have with him.
I would make that same argument in like Guilty Gear Accent Core. If fucking Saul hits me with like a 40 hit combo,
that shit's dumb. That shit's dumb.
How is it that you lose more agency when King is throwing you than if Azucena is mixing you up? Like, I don't actually see how you are losing more agency.
So nothing Azucena has is a true 50-50. For the most part in Tekken, true 50-50s are extremely rare and or don't exist for characters. However, King's throws, he just does a different input and you're just guessing the whole time. And you guess wrong, you lose your guess chance.
So Azucena has lows that she could do after keeping you in block stun. How is that not a 50-50?
Because generally, the low will be slower than her mid option, so you can fuzzy guard it.
So yeah, but you know, you still have to make that guess.
It's true, but it's a more player-driven guess.
It's a guess that you feel better about. Like we're back to the same thing.
You feel better about it.
You feel better about the guess for Azucena. You're still making a 50-50 guess. It's just you feel better about the Azucena guess than the grappler guess. You know,
when you can fuzzy, it's a little bit more than like a 50-50, right? You know, because you got that going on.
But it's not significantly more. You know, you're still playing the player, right?
I mean, at least with King, for the most part, if he grabs you, you have a couple more chances to break those grabs at the very, depending on which one he's doing. But most of the time, it's going to be, Dragon Sleeper or, RDC.
RDC, King's Bridge, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah. So again, I sort of posit this. I mean, I know we're going off on a non-Garou tangent. I posit that the thing that is the problem here is not that King is more broken than Azucena. It's just it doesn't feel as good to play against King because it does not feel as good to play against grapplers. And I understand that. But what I don't like is instead of taking the design track of let's figure out how we make it fun to lose against this character. Because for aggro characters, there's been extensive design into how do we make it so that you're still having fun even if you're getting hit by this character. We generally do not do how do we make it so that it's still fun if you're getting grabbed by this character. We just make grapplers suck. And I don't like that.
So, see, in this situation, I feel like we're kind of getting to the topic of realistically traditional grapplers and then hybrid grapplers. And I think realistically, it sounds like hybrid grapplers are the way to go. And I think Tekken and SNK makes the hybrid grappler makes the best version of the grappler.
King evolved. His moveset changed and allows him to be this hybrid grappler.
Well,
he still applies his pressure and grapples. Or like Dragunov. Dragunov is a fully hybrid grappler. Fundamentally, I guess in Tekken example, grabs are fundamentally broken in Tekken 8 because there's so little counterplay to them. That doesn't extend to like any other games. It's just that's like a Tekken 8 problem right now.
But your grab is not as long as say your leg. How are pokes not counterplay?
Well, so you can step pokes. Grabs are fully homing in Tekken 8 for some reason.
There are still tracking kicks. So
yeah, there are, but usually they're fairly
counterplay?
Slow. They're usually not as fast as a grab. Grabs are very quick.
That's the risk. Like counterplay carries an inherent like aspect of risk. You know, if you think that someone is going to grab you, you instead have to stay back and use worse buttons. You know, that is the counterplay. It may not be counterplay that you find enjoyable, but that is the counterplay. Like just like an SRK, right? A Shoryuken, right? That is heavily punishable, right? It's one of the most punishable moves in Street Fighter, right?
Yeah.
But that is the risk you take. You know, you assume that risk in order to blow someone up who is pressing buttons on you too much. You know, that is counterplay. If the SRK was also very, very safe, then it would be busted. You know? So similarly, if all of your tracking moves were fast, right? Yeah, then it would make these, you know, these homing grabs useless, but we don't want to make them useless. We want to make them good because they feel good. So that means that you have to assume that risk to do the counterplay, you know?
Well, okay, how about this? Did you play the Strive beta?
I did, yes.
So how did you feel about Potemkin killing somebody in 2 grabs at huge plus frames during the beta?
I had no problem with it because Soul Bad Guy would close slash you and kill you in the same amount of hits. So
yeah, but he wasn't really playing Strive at that point, right?
But like if Soul can hit you twice, I have no problem killing you by grabbing you twice with bot. Like that's the thing. You can still get hit twice by characters in Strive now.
Yeah.
Like so that's the thing. If I have to grab you twice and you have to, you know, frame trap me twice, that just means that we both did our plan twice. So that's even. That's equity right there.
In most, you know, in Street Fighter even, if somebody jumps in on you twice, most of the time you're dead, you know? Mm-hmm. And I guess I can see where he's coming from saying, you know, well, the grappler grabs you, but at the end of the day, it's up to everyone to learn the matchup for each. Yeah, exactly, which is a lot of work, especially when you have to get a homework test every time you play Tekken. Mm-hmm. I get it, man. I don't like it either.
Just pass those knowledge tests. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I don't fully understand the extent of how good King is right now, like you're saying, because I haven't, you know, been on top of my Tekken 8.
Oh, he's absolutely brain dead right now.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I feel like it's bound to happen a little bit when you have a heat engager in Tekken with a grappler. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, I get to run up on you now. Time to guess, buddy. It's a little bit disheartening. Whereas, like, you know, most of the time, you know, you have to guess what grab he's going to do. Whereas heat engager with anyone else is just like, oh, I probably have to block mid because if they go low, that's launch punishable. I
personally am happy that when the big sweaty leopard man goes into heat, people start panicking. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he's plus 400 and you're eating the mix.
Look, yeah,
one of them might be a grab.
Would you rather have King now, or would you rather have like Tekken 2 King, where he has a throw and then he has like a jump kick that does 50%, so he could just jump kick you twice?
Remember that Tekken 1 King had a
move just like a completely different beast.
Tekken 1 King had a move that was plus 90 on block.
What the
fuck?
Know?
Like, really? Yeah, like
that's insane.
That's an actual real thing.
Like,
you know? So, like, yeah, I don't know. Like I personally feel when I'm looking to see if a character is broken, I say, how many interactions do they need to win to close out a match, right? And so if a grappler, like we were talking about early Strive, if a grappler has to throw you 2 or 3 times, and the rushdown character has to get 2 or 3 clean hits, that is equal to me. The only difference is that the grappler feels demoralizing to people who feel like blocking should be safe, but that is their game plan. It changes the rules of the game, and I think that's a good thing. You know.
Let me ask this real quick: which would bother you more? You keep King like the way he has, where you take the throw. You get the 50-50%. Yes, you take the throw in heat. You take however much damage, but you had the 50-50 chance of breaking free from it. Or they gave you like an 80% chance of breaking free, but you're guaranteed to take 50% of that amount of damage that you would have taken.
If a train's traveling at 75 miles per hour, I didn't quite, like, all I heard was 50. My brain just shut off. I'm sorry.
Okay, so
I'd rather have an 80.
King does throw. King does grab.
King does throw? Okay.
Yeah, King does throw.
King throw. Okay.
You either take damage or you don't take damage.
Take damage. Good. No. Bad. Okay, go on.
Counterpoint.
Counter.
King does throw. You now have higher chance of breaking throw, but you're guaranteed to take at least some damage doing it.
Okay. I'll take that one. Some damage. Right? Was I right?
I mean, it's not like this is just like a question for it.
Right
like,
or wrong.
Because like I look at it in the way that in games like again, I don't know if Tekken 8 has chip damage, but I don't see the difference in like me blocking and taking a shit ton of chip damage versus
when you do
throw and still taking.
When you do a heat engager, you have a very finite amount of like routes you can actually take. Like it seems like you could do a lot, like you could do a heavy sweep, but that is incredibly stupid. Like it's like you have a year to block a hell sweep or something like that. I mean, not that you typically wouldn't, but you run up and like you're like he's gonna hell sweep. You can just like it's very easy.
Everyone says that you have forever to react, but I've seen people get hit with that 40 to 50 frame throw. Like
I mean, you know, I've had someone say like I can tech every throw, and then I played them and they didn't tech any throw, and that was, you know what I mean? People make mistakes.
So if King is pushing a trolley towards someone who's tied to a track, anyway,
would you take? Let me put it like this.
Okay.
Would you be willing to say that you take guaranteed some damage for a higher chance of breaking the throw, or would you be willing to risk taking more damage for how do I word? Would you be willing to take all the damage or none of the damage for a 50-50, or would you be willing to take some damage for a chance of breaking the throw early?
I don't know. These kind of feel like the same exact situations. They both suck.
One must imagine Sisyphus teching that.
Oh my god! Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, what games are you comparing them? Are you comparing them both like versions of King?
When I hear people like when they complain about grapplers for it, and I try to come up with ways that you could try to balance a grappler, and the problem is that you can't. You just make them worse.
So I think the real kind of answer here to this situation is more or less, instead of trying to guess what they're doing, you have to go back to the old school style of teching throws where you're watching their hands. Because the way King will okay, so most of the time I have to say this with a parenthesis on it.
Doesn't work for King.
So like most of the time in Tekken, if you do a like a 2+4 grab or a 1+3 grab, it will grab specifically with one hand or the other, and you can tech it that way. Or he grabs with both hands, and that is 1+2, right? So with King, now he has all of these different grab motions plus like 4 other different grabs that may look the same. Do you see how that sort of like progressively makes things a little bit more difficult? But I can see the argument on all ends, whereas if it's a chain throw.
That's also what makes him the grappler, though, right?
No,
because every other character has this weakness where you could see where their throws are coming from.
I will be honest with you.
You know, like the character who specializes in throws gets the better throws. Like
I personally think that King is...
Then he should pay a price for it.
I think King is fair. I don't think King is unfair. I'm not trying to make the argument one way or the other. I personally think that SNK and Namco make better grapplers than Street Fighter does, because I think they're more interesting. Because look, SNK, like, I feel like they solved the answer a little bit, because they have characters that can strike. They have multiple angles to things. They have the hybrid grapplers. They still have their command grabs, at least in a 2D plane. Tekken allows you in a 3D game to tech those throws because it rewards you for knowledge. And I appreciate that. But even though you did have the knowledge check, you still can get mixed up by those grabs. I don't know. Like, I see what you're saying, Quint, but I don't know, man. I don't know how. I'm perfectly fine with it, personally. But
SNK...
Sticking strictly Tekken 8. King's just too complete of a package. He does too much. He's more than just the grappler in Tekken 8. Right? So like he has these extremely strong grapple moves on top of strong 50-50s, heavy pressure games, fantastic combos, great wall game. Like, he's just all together. He's just there. He has everything.
Yeah. He's a good character.
That's the biggest problem. If a grappler is going to be good, they have to be lesser at some other stuff to accommodate for that.
But why is that not the case for aggro characters? Because there have absolutely been Tekken characters that can do fucking everything, but were aggro, and it was just like, oh yeah, this is just a top tier character. Like,
oh, they're not excused.
I mean, in a way,
they're not excused.
In a way, like, the reason that's why Tekken has given everyone a third grab, because they want you to have to guess within a grab mix-up. Everyone sort of has that option a little bit. You know what I mean? Some characters have it more than others. Do I think the grapplers? I mean, I think like Dragunov has a sheer advantage in terms of like grappling and everything.
He is a full grapple game.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think he's a better character than King. Like, I mean, he's King. I feel like he should be nerfed. I don't think you should be worried about King. I feel like you should worry about Dragunov. At least.
I mean, we have
he's
lot
been
of
turned down a
balancing
little
to
bit.
do in Tekken 8. All right, Tekken 8's a goddamn mess on the balance side, and we're gonna see that at Evo Japan. People will be like, "Oh God, this game's broken as hell," and it's gonna be great. But until then.
Here's the thing. I want to know if you think that King will make the finals in Evo Japan.
I have to pee. I'll be right back. I really have to pee, guys. I've been holding it for like fucking half an hour.
If King really is,
I think there's going to be a King in top 8. At least.
Oh, okay,
but the King in top 8.
But if you think that there's a King in top 8, does that mean that everyone else who makes top 8 is at the same level of problematic as King? Because if that's not the case, then that means that King is basically balanced. Do you think that King will be either overrepresented in top 8 or make the top 2?
In my mind, the top 8 is going to be comprised mostly of Azucena, Dragunov, and Fang.
So then King's not a problem.
But I think a King's going to be in there. King's just not as... He's not super popular.
Named 3 characters that are going to be more represented and likely make the finals before him. King's not a problem.
However, we don't really have any like pro players that like King.
Then he's not a problem.
No, I mean like he's underrepresented on like
if the pro players aren't playing him.
Wait, if he's underrepresented, doesn't that mean he should get buffs?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure, why not?
No, but really, that's the thing.
Online, he has a huge representation. Like the last numbers were
online. People fucking suck. Like that's
for sure.
Thing.
I mean, online people will do shit that won't. How do I word this? Online people will do shit that they know isn't safe because there's no negative repercussion. Like your rank might go down a little bit, but the difference between
I just hit alt F4.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you want, like if you look at something at like high level, I don't know what the Tekken Cup like pays out for it. I'm gonna assume it's like max is what 50k like Strive is.
I would hope so.
And a granola bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
It's maybe
somebody
the flight
who's
home.
risking that much money is not gonna do the like crazy unsafe bullshit unless they think that it is literally the difference between win and lose.
Yeah, like here's the thing. This what you've just said proves my point. The pro players are not playing him. You don't think he's going to make top 2. You don't think he's going to be overrepresented in top 8. So the only thing that's happening is that people at a mediocre level don't like playing against grapplers. That's what I said at the very start. That's what this is.
This is a
I'm
great
just saying,
Garou episode,
on the
by the
pro
way.
scene, he is underrepresented. All right,
Because he needs buffs. Because he needs buffs.
Like, at the end of the day, you know, it's always like the same goddamn players in like the top 8s, right? And they all hate King. They're not gonna play King. Even if King's like the top one, undisputed, they're not gonna touch him.
That's
Nee will never
bullshit.
touch King.
That is
Nee will never touch King. Arslan will never touch King.
If King gave him a 90% win rate, Nee will absolutely fucking touch King.
I don't know, man.
100%. That's his job, my dude. Like,
I mean, you know,
I've seen fucking character
his playstyle
specialists.
just doesn't work with
Like,
King.
guys,
Like I've seen character specialists fucking, you know, like abandon ship if it got them like 10k. By the way, Garou.
yeah. I mean, look at Reina players. I mean, come on, they all dump ship. You know what other thing that Nee won't touch? Garou, Mark of the Wolves.
Garou?
He ain't got there's no money in it. He's not gonna play it. It's weird.
No.
So, kind of like
I mean, there has to be a tournament for it, right? So
it was at Evo.
There's a tournament every major. There's usually a Garou tournament.
It's
they run side tournaments. That makes sense.
All 5 people playing it though are very happy.
they're very
fine.
good too. They're very
They're all
very
like,
good.
fuck Kevin.
Like I'll actually fucking, you know, sort of money on the table right now. People like Garou is a good example because Grant is
my
busted and people do play the fuck out of Grant. Character specialists, you know, who like have been playing Terry forever were like, actually, fuck this. I'm going to play Grant right now. You know, that's what fucking happens.
Listen, man,
you know?
people do a lot of crazy things. Some people play like Sailor Moon S or whatever that Super Nintendo game is. They're
That
crazy.
game's fun.
Like,
That game just proves that Arxis has been making busted shit forever, and this is nothing new.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Grappler is top tier in that game too.
was it Sailor Mercury? Is it Sailor Mercury that has a full screen dash?
Jupiter, isn't
Jupiter?
it?
Yeah,
Is it
Jupiter,
Jupiter?
the one with the full screen dash.
Full screen
grab?
dash into a command grab? Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Let's go.
You just gotta hold that.
So kind of like, you know, trying to wrap up here, guys, because I know we have a little bit more to cover before we can we go, and we're running a little bit
Yeah.
over schedule.
We got a little sidetracked.
It's all good. I appreciate the conversation. So what were you guys kind of like? What are your initial thoughts of City of Wolves? What are you hoping to see with the game? Kind of just, and what if you were gonna make this game? What would you do to kind of sort of, you know, put a cherry on top of it and make it successful? Because this game, let's face it, it has an uphill battle. It's an SNK game. I'm curious to see what you guys say. You think it'll be a Discord fighter? What
just
kind
give it
of
crossplay and it can't be a Discord fighter.
If they don't fix their online at the start, then it's going to be a Discord fighter just as quickly as 15 was.
Yeah, can I? The biggest problem right here is just going to be quality of life. Because I'll be completely honest, everything I've heard from City of the Wolves so far, I've loved. The overdrive system, I've loved. The top system, I mean, I hate that they renamed it to Spig, but like,
spaghetti system. Yeah.
Yeah, the spaghetti system. No, actually, now it's great. Now it's fucking great. If you kill someone before you go into top, you're like, nobody touch my spaghetti. You know? Yeah. Like, that's perfect. Actually, you redeemed it. You redeemed the choice. Thank you, Backlog.
You're welcome.
Pull up. I think we're into offensive territory.
I'll take my dump truck full of money. Take my dump truck full of money, SNK. You're welcome.
I'm
right,
full-blooded
here's your
Italian. I
flight
get
home.
to say that. But yeah, so I love the top system. I love the overdrive system. It looks like they're putting a lot of thought into their character design, and the comic aesthetic blows my mind. It is
Yes,
the
that's
best
pretty
looking
cool.
SNK fighter that I have seen in ages. I love the music. Everything is good. The thing that is going to make or break this game is if it is goddamn usable. The fact that King of Fighters 15 did not have a VSync option and that broke people's ability to play the game at launch, inexcusable. The fact that matchmaking is still not fixed is inexcusable.
That,
you know?
Yeah.
I think that this might be like I see nothing bad about this game. I don't necessarily like I think it could very easily compete with Street Fighter and the other big ones. Mechanically, it looks super fucking sound.
Yeah.
Right? But all of that is not going to matter if you don't have a VSync option, you don't have standard frame rates, the game won't, detect your controller, if matchmaking doesn't work, matchmaking desyncs. None of that is going to matter if the game doesn't work. So the thing that's going to make or break City of the Wolves is, does it fucking work?
Damn.
Will the game let me play it on PC not in big picture mode? Because for whatever fucking reason, that was the only way it would detect any of my controllers.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Degenerate.
I think Steam has a setting now that lets you use Steam controls like off to the side. But I mean, I don't know if it had that when 15 dropped. Like, I don't remember that till recently. I'll say that for free.
I figured that out the hard way during the Invitational because I was practicing on the PlayStation version of that, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just load the game up and play it."
Nope.
Why are none of my things fucking working?
Fucking, if I'm gonna be honest, the last couple of SNK releases didn't fucking work. Sam Show didn't work either on console or on PC when it launched. King of Fighters worked okay on console and didn't work on PC when it will launch. Matchmaking didn't work on console, and matchmaking is still not fixed. So that's the thing. Like, I don't want to say that they keep shitting the bed because they know how to make a good game. They know how to make interesting looking characters, cool boss encounters. I fucking loved playing around with Shingo, in King of Fighters 15. Offline, shit's fine, but you have to admit at this point, we are not in an offline era anymore. We just aren't.
If this was 10 years ago and this game got released in an arcade, it would be 10 out of 10, fucking play it all day kind of thing. But we're not in, like you're saying, we're not in that generation anymore. We need more. Like, $60 or $70 now is a hard sell on a fighting game. Just based on what content you get. Like, you can either be like a casual person who's going to get, 10 hours out of your fighting game, or you can grind that shit and get hundreds of hours out of it. So you can't make the money argument in that sense for it, but you need content in it, and your content needs to work.
All right. Your comments have been heard. We're adding a battle pass to City of the Wolves.
Oh my god. You can now design your avatar, your Garou, your wolf. You can now put a bow on your wolf.
Okay, you know what? I'm saying this right now.
To get him a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle hat.
I'm fucking making a Faustian bargain right now.
Oh shit.
If City of the Wolves has working matchmaking, working netcode, working matchmaking, working netcode, and a good suite of options, like in its training mode and otherwise, on launch, I am fine if they charge me $15 for a Ninja Turtles hat. Because I just won't buy it. I just won't buy it, and then I'll have a working game.
Knowing the way they work, the netcode will be perfect. Everything will be fine. It just stands the chance that every time you load it, it'll brick your PC. It's...
Yeah, no, this is the monkey's paw curling right now.
There's just a 2-minute ad between every match.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So it's just Street Fighter 5.
Wasn't there a weird thing?
Exactly.
Wait, wasn't there a weird thing with ads in Virtua Fighter 5 recently, where it's like, I don't know if anyone's seen this, but there's like some crazy ad in Ultimate Showdown where you play it, and it plays like this commercial with, I don't know, you'd have to see it, but
I mean, I will admit,
are probably very
I own that game. Like, I got it when it was a Plus game when it first launched. If I load that shit up and I got a commercial that I gotta fucking watch,
there's a commercial. People buy ad space on it. People buy ad space on that shit.
That's what T-shirts are for your character.
podcast.
Yeah,
I will actually say though, it does kind of blow my mind. I get that people are upset about battle passes. It blows my mind that people are upset about battle passes when we haven't gotten to basic functionality.
yeah,
Right? Like when people are like, people with MK1, they're like, they want me to pay $15 for a fatality. I'm like, the input parser doesn't work. What the fuck? You're complaining about the fatality? Complain about the buttons not working. Like, come on,
I've met
guys.
people for 6, they were complaining like, oh, with the battle pass, that's the only way I can permanently unlock the arcade machine. I'm like, you're on PC. Go play fucking Fightcade. It's on there.
I know.
Like,
yeah. Yep. Yeah, I man, I don't think there's going to be any single player content to this. I hate to say it.
I'm not leaning
fine
towards
with
it
that.
either.
I mean,
I think we're gonna get single player wise is gonna be about as in depth as what 15 probably had.
I gotta be honest. I also feel like 2024 is well past the point in which you can make a fighting game without single player content. I'm fine with that, but
Yeah.
Street Fighter fucking proved that, and this was more than it's just Street Fighter. Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat proved that single player shit does sell games. Because it's not just, they didn't just sell because of their name. They did better than their other titles, which did not have as much single player shit.
Yeah.
They did better compared to themselves. Single player shit sells games. We're at an era where like fighting games have to be actual video games. You need to get something comparable that you would get out of buying a shooter or buying an action game. And that means you need single player shit, And if there's no single player shit, I mean, I don't think there's going to be, but I think if there's no single player shit, people will look at that and look at what we got at Street Fighter and be like, well, why? Why do I buy this game?
The only exception I would make to that would be if it came out and all of a sudden it was $30 or $40. Then I personally would forgive that. Still, the general audience, no. Like, because even at $40, you're required to give more than that. The only game I think that could get away with literally just releasing it with multiplayer and probably an arcade mode would be, the fuck is the game called?
Pocket
2XKO?
Oh.
Well, Pocket Bravery was also $20, and like it was from what I've played, I love Pocket Bravery.
It's amazing.
That is a niche within a niche of a game, though.
Yeah.
That is appealing to people who like fucking. Let me put it like this: you have to like fighting games, and you have to like the Neo Geo Pocket. And who other than me fucking owns a Neo Geo Pocket? Okay, like.
Thought about buying one, but then I'm
you don't have to call me out like that. But
I had one at one point.
Yeah. So the answer is we are the 4 people who own a Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah.
damn. All right, sick. Bro, you guys want to get a really long link cable? I'll run it to your guys' house. Let's do it.
But yeah, no, I actually think that Street Fighter 6 and League of Legends Dos Equis is going to make a big splash because Project L, fuck everybody else. Project L is going to be free to play.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter 6 gave us all this single player stuff. So everybody is going to be comparing every new fighting game to those. And honestly, like, not only that, I'm using those as an example. Tekken 8 single player was amazing. Like, when I got to play as, like, Tekken 3 Jin at the end of the game, fucking, that shit was so fucking cool. That shit was, when I, like, fucking laser sorted people in half, that was some Final Fantasy shit. That was high-quality weeb bullshit.
Yeah.
I loved it,
Hell yeah.
right?
You had to learn 4 different characters, and they were all Jin.
Yes, and it was so cool.
Even the one you didn't get, which is pre Tekken 3 Jin, which is dope.
Yeah, like it was like I loved everything that they did. So like, if you're not at least doing what Street Fighter, what Mortal Kombat, what Tekken 8 are doing in terms of single player, then people are going to look at Tuxedo, and they're going to be like, oh well, this is a free to play game, and it doesn't have a single player, but it's free. And it has training mode, it has all these other options, but it's free,
I mean,
like,
Like,
Fighting game devs should be terrified of the ramifications of Project L. It's gonna, if it does well, it's going to shake the very foundation of like how they're making money and stuff. It's like, wait, why would I pay for like this DLC and buy this game when I can play this for free and unlock these characters since
it could be the fighting game Fortnite. It could be the fighting game Fortnite, right?
Yeah. And
like,
Riot always puts a lot of work into their stuff. Like they put an all-star team together for Project L. Like it's insane.
And it's coming out. It's a versus game in a game that is in a market that is currently barren for versus game.
Yep.
Right. So like it's gonna really shake things up. Whether or not it's good, I don't even care if it's fucking good. It has, you know, a huge install base. You know, I think it's gonna be good. But like from a business standpoint, I don't even give a fuck because it's gonna have a huge install base and it's shaking things up. So you're not going to be able, like, just flat out, when City of the Wolves comes out, 2XKO is going to come out as well. And if they have a similar package and one is free,
oh no,
City of the Wolves is kind of dead in the water.
Yeah.
Like,
one also uses the League of Legends IP.
One will let you play with your friends, not against your friends.
Right.
Like,
yeah. Yep.
Like 2XKO at least gives you the ability to blame someone else if you lose. So
it's true.
That's always a bonus.
League of Legends managed to do it again, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
I think
that, but if City of the Wolves does, because they in the trailers and in what they've said so far, they said they're gonna do this thing where there's this story mode, you know, focusing on, you know, the City of the Wolves, you know, like focusing on fucking Southtown and shit like that. You know, if they do give us something interesting in single player, then I think, yes, if it does work, it can compete with, you know, Street Fighter and everything else. You know, but they have to give that to us.
You would just like run around a city and it would just be like a glorified arcade mode.
I would settle for a beat 'em up mode, kind of like what Grand Blue had. I would settle for that. Let me keep the fighting mechanics, but let me have a good side scroller added into it. Then I just look at it as I get two games. But I think people are going to look towards more like what you said, RPG. They're going to want to look at Street Fighter 6's single player to say like, oh, we get big open worlds. Even though they basically just did what like MK Deception or Deadly Alliance, whatever fucking game it was, like a decade ago. To me, it was no more in depth than
kind
that.
of deception.
Yeah,
we have Yakuza at home. Yeah, no, it was you know it was a very bare bones Yakuza clone. But you know what? That's enough. If City of the Wolves gives us a very bare bones Yakuza clone, I'm in. I'm sold. $60. Let's go. You know,
if they let me, because the thing that made me very happy in 6 was just being able to walk up to a random person and dragon punch them.
Yeah.
If they let me do that with the rising tackle to just any random fucker on the street, I'm fine. Like you're automatically
power dunk grandma. You know, like,
and then grandma wants to throw hands.
Yeah, like I want
even
you don't understand as a New Yorker, like as someone who has grown up in New York. Seeing Street Fighter 6 being like fantasy New York, and someone like walks up to you and like does like their voice clip, it's like, hey, watch out, I'm walking here, and then just being able to fucking SPD them, like, you know, that was everything I wanted out of a fighting game.
You can't make your own character because like, oh, you just control one of the ones, you kind of get like Tekken Force kind of stuff. The fact that Southtown is in fucking Florida, you know how much fun you can have with dumb shit?
Oh my god, it writes itself, dude. Like, you know,
not to mention now you get to
make your own Florida man story.
You get to power dunk grandma. You get to power dunk grandma, and then you can say like broken English phrases to her too, like "yes, serious" and stuff like that. You know,
what was it? Wubba wubba right in the pink, grandma. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
Here's the thing. I know it will never happen, but like if they had like a Florida Man headline style generator for everything you did in the game,
oh my lord,
that wouldn't even be hard to
the greatest win screen ever, though. Like it just cuts to a newspaper screen.
Yeah, just newspaper screen. Florida Man does blah blah blah. That's your win screen. Fucking is. I'll drop a hundo on that. I don't care.
What we're saying is, modders, when the game comes out, make those end screens.
Do it
and paywall them. Apparently.
Oh man. I mean, I I feel like this game should be, in a perfect world, this game would be $40. I know it won't be because God knows it's SNK, and they're like, this is so niche. All the SNK boys are gonna play it, and they're gonna pay $60 day one. I just, if they were smart, they would cut the cost a little bit. I feel like this would sell like hotcakes. I know that Double KO is coming out. I'm not really excited for that. I mean, here, I'm on the fence still. I don't know if I like it or not. I didn't grow up with, no, I did. I grew up with like Marvel and stuff, but I never got into it like competitively. I don't understand them to that sort of, I haven't put the time into them to really get that depth of it. It looks like it could be fun. It's still missing that one factor that's just gonna be like, fuck yeah, I need to play this game tomorrow, tonight, whatever. You know what I mean? And I just haven't seen it yet.
Oh, they hooked me. They hooked me because they put CVS 2 style grooves in it.
You gave me K groove, I was happy.
They gave us 4 grooves and they said they're making more. So
that is pretty cool. Okay, I didn't know about that.
I'm gonna say this as somebody who doesn't like Marvel, who doesn't in general like tag games, and doesn't give a shit about League. When I played it at Evo, I had a lot of fun. So the mechanics are there, the controls are there, the gameplay is there. Let's just see if it actually launches and it's good and it doesn't turn into the League community.
You know what? I don't give a fuck if it turns into the League community, man, because I'll throw hands with the League community.
Just means I get to beat the shit out of the League community.
That's good. Yeah, that's gonna be so cathartic. Are you kidding me? I'm gonna remember when I tried to play League and they fucking spouted racial slurs at me, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, whose house are you in now, bitch?
And here's the other thing. This is what they had at Evo. It can run on arcade equipment. You can get this on an arcade machine.
Yeah. It's being designed for arcades too, and they're doing that specifically because they know that that's how it's going to sell overseas.
I respect the hell out of that.
It's being designed to run on anything. It's being hyper optimized.
Yes, it's being hyper optimized.
The fact that I went to my local round one that opened up, and they had a Street Fighter 6 cap, I got excited. I was like, oh my god, they're giving us new fighting games in arcades. And also, my mind was blown. Yeah.
You know what else is mind-blowing about Project L? Their arcade cab setup, which they're testing, has online functionality. So you could, from your couch, play against someone in a Japanese arcade. And this is made by the creators of GGPO, so you know it's gonna have good netcode, right?
Right.
This is. They are really shaking up fighting games because they're allowing you to do shit that we've always said we wanted to do, and it does kind of feel like the future.
Okay.
Whether or not you are big into the League property, whether or not you are big into tag fighters or something like that's gonna be your mileage may vary, but it just in terms of what they are giving us in the game, it is so different than anything we have seen in the past. So that's very exciting.
It's checking all the boxes. It's also hyper accessible. There's multiple control schemes. You could literally just one button full combos if you really want to. There's so many options and ways to get people into the game. They just want it to be like, hey, anyone can pick this up and do this.
Yeah, and you still get rewarded for labbing, and you still get rewarded for execution if you're an execution head. So that's all in the groove system, which gives you you can have a groove that basically says, I don't want to have to learn how to deal with assists. There's literally a groove that's just I don't use assists, I'm not using tag mechanics, I'm playing this like King of Fighters, and I'm getting a big stat boost.
We solo in this bitch.
Balancing sounds like a nightmare. Oh my god.
That's why it's not out yet, right?
Yeah.
Because their tack with this whole thing is fuck you. Well, it's done when it's done.
It's done when it's done.
They also want to release with a healthy roster. They don't want to half-ass the roster with 8 characters or some nonsense. Yeah. They want to have I think it was 16 bare minimum characters on launch.
Yeah, and they've been very, very transparent with their dev, right? they were like, fuck it, like this is going to be done when it's done. And that's that's how it is, and I'm okay with that. I am okay with that.
Yep.
I think
And
more
they're
or less
constantly like bringing pros in to give feedback on like the different systems and stuff like that. So they're doing their homework. All the stars or all the things coming together here.
I think more or less I was just very burned by the Warner Bros. Oh my God, I'm like blanking on the name. I can't even think of it. Multiverses. Yeah, like I don't.
Award-winning multiverses.
The world's most expensive beta.
Multiverses.
The game that won Game of the Year over a couple of other fighting games that were out longer, and look, I
Game Award problem.
Sifu was robbed. Okay.
It's fine. Sifu was Game of the Award fighting. Whatever.
Was a nominee. Yeah, I still think Sifu could have won, but I don't know, man. I was still burned by that, so I'm still like, okay, I don't really like the gameplay of Multiverses. I think it kind of sucks, actually. Personally, I do not like that game. I think it's not fun.
No block button. What the hell are they smoking?
It's not. I don't know. I play it. I'm like I go into Smash mode, and then I'm like I don't know what I'm doing, and it throws me off. And I understand that for some people it's easy to adapt because they play multiple Smash-like games. I do not. I play one, and that's. I mean, call me a Smash scrub, whatever, but I just sort of didn't really playing it. I just never had fun ever. Like, and maybe because I didn't have another person. Somebody
who in general hates Smash and just doesn't like platform fighters, I thought it was okay. I didn't mind that there wasn't a block button. I actually kind of liked the dodge, but I play King of Fighters and that has a dodge roll too. So, is it perfect? No. Was it fun to sit down with friends and 2v2 against people? Because to me, that's the way the game was meant to be played. Not trying to purely be Smash 1v1. Because, 1v1, the game was fucking trash.
Oh, yeah. It was... it just didn't sort of gel. But maybe it was the environment. I did like both the beta. I think there was like 2 betas. I did both of them, and I kept trying. I was like, I'm gonna try a different character, and I tried a different character, and another one, and I'm like, man, this just isn't. It just did not vibe with me,
The thing is, when I played it like single player, I never had fun. When I got
things not focused.
Somebody else. When I got somebody else to play it with me, and we could start synergizing our little special skills and synergizing our characters that actually would play well together, we started having a lot of fun. When we played the game the way it seemed like it wanted to be played, it was fun.
That's another reason why I'm excited about Project L.
Yeah.
Because I don't have... Here's the thing. If I'm fucking banging my head against someone and I can't beat him, I could just join him. Like,
Yeah. Yo, dude, duo?
I love the meme that exists where it's like, if we're playing duos and one of us isn't sitting in each other's lap, are we really a team?
Oh my God.
I know. Yeah. You got to sit in your homie's lap, dude. Like, that's I don't make the rules.
Yeah.
I get like, after like going over a week of Dragon Ball Fighters, after playing that, I'm like, I would rather just play Dragon Ball Fighters than, go and play Multiverses any day of the week. That game, like 6-player, is a blast to play with your friends. But then again, I did not go through the route of trying to struggle bus single my way through like a ranked or anything like that. I actually just had honest to God fun with friends. So I can see how that sort of changes the dynamic of, sort of whether you enjoy something or not, for sure.
Oh yeah, Lapco 21, totally fair and balanced. Totally fair and balanced, no problem.
Absolutely.
You got nerfed, I guess. I heard she's only A tier now.
Yeah.
Is the character still just guess the block string? Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, but she doesn't permanently debuff you anymore.
Yeah, that is true.
So, wrapping these things up, I wanted to do 2 things here before we leave. One, if you were going to give this a rating on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate Garou Mark of the Wolves?
RPG, do you want my professional video game critic score or my personal My Life as an RPG score?
Oh my God!
Because you gotta remember, I used to be a games journalist for a living. So which one do you want?
You know what? Can you give me both? Can I have both of them?
Okay. My Game Critics score is 8 out of 10. I think that it is a very solid game. I think that it is a little lacking in terms of single player. It's very hostile to new players, but there's a lot that is rewarding when you crack open the game. The My Life as an RPG score is probably closer to 9 out of 10. I just have a lot of great memories with it. I can absolutely admit that it's flawed. I know that I play the bullshit character, and that's why I get cheap dopamine, but antidepressants are fucking expensive. Sue me. Like, so,
I feel that.
Yeah. I say, if I were reviewing it like at the time it came out, I would give it an 8, but personally I rank it a little bit higher. So.
Retro, do you wanna give us your scale, your rating? Or do you want us to come back to you?
No, like I'm gonna kind of throw it the same way RPG did. Like my personal opinion is like it's like a 9. Like either, like I said, like a 5 out of 5 or a 9 out of 10, whatever. I don't like 10-point scales because everything below a 6 means it's not worth my time. But like,
I mean,
Five's average, but
you could.
fine.
I mean, you could argue that one man's 3 is a your 10. You know what I mean?
I would argue that every time I went to, like, every school I went to, anything below like a 70 was failing. So like,
I don't know, man. There's some really fun like sogeis out there, man. I don't know. A lot of people say this game sucks, and I feel like this is fucking awesome.
Where I'm saying, like, there's the difference between like my personal opinion and then trying to be like remotely objective with it.
Fair enough.
I think if I'm breaking it down, like really like issues with its mechanics, because I do agree with RPG about how perfect block kind of is just too safe of an option and gives you too many benefits for it. There are like the broken characters, there are all the stuff like it on like a 10-point scale. It's like a 7, maybe an 8.
Okay.
My personal opinion, like I said, it's like a 4 or a 5 out of 5. Like,
awesome. Should we revise the 10 out of 10 scale? Should we do that? I feel like that's a little too. Maybe we should give it like a rating.
I give it a 372 out of. You have to guess what the scale is.
Oh shit!
I was about to say, at least you're not doing it where it's like here's a 10-point scale, but you're allowing people to go like
10.5,
7.75. So really, it's a 100-point scale or something, or a 1,000-point scale.
Why I do reviews. I actually never give serious numbers. So like whenever I'm doing reviews on TikTok, I'll be like, oh, I give this like a hot dog out of 10. I give Garou Mark of the Wolves a Are You Okay out of 10.
Damn, that's actually pretty good. I like that.
Yeah.
I
was in fact not okay.
Bankruptcy out of 10.
Yeah.
Damn, was that before the Playmore era? I think it was.
It was Playmore was the follow-up to that.
Yeah.
And then they filed for bankruptcy again after that. Like,
yeah, SNK's been through it, man. And that's why I don't want this game to fail. Quinn, what would you give Garou Mark of the Wolves?
I think I'm gonna go with an 8.
Nice. I think so too.
I was thinking an 8 from like the beginning, and I'm pretty like solid on the 8. Just it has the quirks of an older fighting game, but it's still really fun, and the fun foundation is there, and so I can't beat it to death like I want to, because I legitimately enjoyed playing the game.
So I can say
I think it's like an 8.
The one thing I love about the game was I put time into it. I put like 2 hours into training mode, and I automatically saw results from practicing. And that's one of the most satisfying things that I feel like a fighting game can do, is like you play it, you go into training mode, you come out, and I feel like I learned some shit and I actually understand the game better. And I don't know.
I never touched training mode, and I still give it an 8 out of 10.
Goddamn. I think I'm probably gonna give it a straight up 8.5. I feel like that's I want to give it a 9, but like then you guys were like convincing me maybe it's an 8.
I feel like saying I want to give it a straight up score and then giving it a decimal score is like oxymoron, but that's fine.
Well, I mean,
Shading.
I didn't actually ever say that we did not give it decibel like point. I didn't. I
Yeah,
never
we've
said
given
that.
we've
That
given
was- that was
decibels. But
retros.
0.5 is the limit.
I mean,
all right?
0.5's the limit. That's where we draw the line.
mean-
Okay.
We want to break this down even more and start factoring in cost because we probably played this for $20 on the Steam version or for free on Fightcade. But if I spent $1,300 on this game, this is a fucking one. Like this cost
I'm
me
getting
more
a
than
zero.
mortgage for the month. Like,
Would you buy this game would you buy an arcade board of this game out of 10?
No.
No.
Would I buy an arcade board of this game?
Yeah.
Does it have to be a legit arcade board, or can I program it myself?
I just said arcade board. You could do however you will.
Yeah. Absolutely. Then that'll cost me absolutely 100%.
Well, I mean, hold on, wait. Should we specify the era in which you buy this arcade board?
oh, I mean, if you're just buying I'm looking on eBay for sold listings right now just to see. Like, if you want to buy the Neo Geo cartridge for the arcade unit, a Japanese version of it, the lowest I've seen is $219. The highest I've seen for a home port is $3,000.
And you know, with that, I'm glad we live in 2024, guys. And so that I would totally buy an arcade board of this game. My God, in our modern era. Okay, and then one last thing. I know I'm keeping you guys here. We've had lots of talks. But I have a thing we've been doing, or we're trying to go back to doing, which is the definitive tier list here, and.
I'm about to have opinions.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, well, you can change one.
You can change one of them. Okay, so I got this definitive tier list here. I'm gonna move over to the other channel here. So we have all of these fighting games, and there's haven't played yet, wasted potential, F, D. Now, we didn't decide all these. A lot of other guests had moved these places. I
got you.
If you
I'm
go
surprised
to the
enough people have played Tobal 2 to actually put it on the list.
That was all backlog. That was literally all
I
backlog.
might have moved Tobal 2 up quite a bit, and then people hated me, so they repressed it a few bumps. So
I'm very comfortable with Marvel 2 and Skullgirls being right next to each other, but I do have to say, Cross Tekken in S tier, it's definitely better than people say, but S tier?
Look, listen, you have to understand the
somebody
guests we
wanted
have
it in
had
S
on
tier,
this.
so
We have had people. Okay, so you have to understand the guest that has that in S tier, and no shade to him because I honestly think it's a great game, but he is the guy who literally is one of the people that's keeping that game alive right now in competitive scene. He's one of the people from New York, a TO at majors and stuff like that, talks about the game all the time, runs tournaments still, die hard, threw it up in S tier. I can't agree with it. With the amount of love you put into a game like that, I get it. You know what I mean?
I think he had it in B tier, and he's like, "Oh no,
Yeah, what is this
S tier?"
shit? Okay.
Oh, all right.
So you guys can move. What was I gonna say? You make 3 moves. You can either move it up, you can either move something down 2, or you can just rearrange things. Actually, let's just start off with Garou first.
What?
What's that, Quinn?
All right, cool.
Did I kind of?
Garou?
It's
where
an
is
A.
it?
It's like dead center of A.
Dead center of A. Where would you put?
That about tracks.
I think it belongs where it should stay.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you see anything here that should not be where it
Okay, so
belongs?
here's the thing. You said that we can move it up 2 or down 2?
You can move. You can either move things up 1, or you could take you have 3 moves. You can move something 3 times. Anything you can move thing up once, or you can move it down once, or you can move it down 3 times.
So here's my genuine thought here. Do I do it for the people and move MVC2 into S, or do I do it for myself and move Skullgirls into S?
Do we each get our own decision? Because if he moves,
Yes.
You can make a decision. You can also counter his decision, sir.
You don't
waste that
need your
move.
consensus.
However you want to do it. I mean, look, all I'm saying is you got to make all your moves when you go. I'm not going to let y'all do chess battles.
Now that Retro has said that, I would like to make my move last.
Okay.
So,
Okay. Chicken tendies cannot be moved. They are perpetual S tier.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna coin flip this because I need you guys. I need this to be chance.
That does have to be fair. Here, I'll flip this piece of paper.
Wait, is that arms in A tier?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
I mean, it's a game. I'm willing to give it that. I barely consider it a fighting game. To me, it feels like a shooter for some reason. But
All right, so
Damn, that's wild.
heads or tails?
Arms is stupid fun.
Heads.
Heads. Okay. It's tails. RPG goes first.
Wait, does that mean I go first, or I get to choose one?
You get to choose. Oh, bro, why you gotta make things so complicated all the time?
Yeah. No. I'm going last. I'm going last. I want to go last.
Go
Okay,
last?
go last.
On a coin
Yes,
toss?
demand to go last. Yes.
Yeah, that's how it be.
I will say this.
That means no one can counter my move.
Fine. If
I
you
still
guys
can't believe we had someone use. There's 3 moves to just shoot the freaking cross tech and all the way up there. But it's cool. It's fine.
Oh my God.
I get 3 moves, so I can move Marvel vs. Capcom down 3 slots if I really wanted to.
You could, yes.
You absolutely could, and then I'm putting Skullgirls in S, and I'm fine.
I mean, that's fine. Like,
That's fine. Oh, do you shake on that? Shake on that.
Wait. So
Shake my hand.
I'll let you think about what you want to do. Do you know what you want to do? Because we also have all of these.
Let me see some of your
tiers.
lower ones too. Let me see some of the lower ones just to see. Wasted potential.
Some of these, no one like most people like. There's a lot of KOF ones here that no one's played.
What the hell is the one with Ryu and Kyo? Is that SNK versus Capcom or SVC Chaos?
I didn't make this list. I will preface that. So some of these are just like they didn't have representation for it. I think this is SVC, but also I saw SVC up here. I think.
I think it's SVC.
Yeah, should just remake this honestly. But some of these are.
So the highest I can move anything. Like if it's in haven't played, can I place it anywhere, or can it only go up to C?
You know what? I think we should. I think we should just do 3 moves anywhere you want to put them. Let's just do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Okay, so if I do knock MVC all the way down to the bottom, then RPG can just move it straight back. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that if you do that, I'm just putting Skullgirls in S. Like,
I mean, put Skullgirls in S. I'm not going to complain. I think it's a good game. I just don't like playing it.
Quinn, what do you think? You think we should restrict their movement?
Yes.
I think maybe if it's in haven't played, then you should get that as a free move.
Yeah. I feel like that's fair. That's what I was thinking.
Yes,
So-
that's fine.
Does it go like B and then A, or does it go like B plus?
It literally
B
goes
is an A.
it goes F D C B A plus S.
A plus
and
S.
chicken. And sorry, you can't move chicken tenders. I'm sorry, those got to stay there.
Not move chicken tenders.
They have to. Those are
S
always
forever.
I want to move KOF 11. We'll put that in B tier.
KOF 11. Okay, that's fair.
it was up there. It was
Right down there and haven't played. Next to Omen of Sorrow.
Omen of. Oh my God, is this KOF 11 right here?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the other thing. I can't just scroll up with my mouse. I have to like hold this. So you said you want it in B tier.
Right.
Where do you think in B tier it belongs?
Oh, this isn't ordered. You know that.
Some people did specify they want it somewhere. So I mean, he can if he wants to, or I can just place it right here for now. That's fine.
Fair
I'll
enough.
slap it right there.
Yeah, I'm fine just throwing it somewhere like towards the upper side of B.
That's fine. Specifying where it should be, I think, would take too much time. But
Okay.
So do you want to go? You want to go low tier or high tier?
What do you mean low tier, high? Like low tier, high tier in?
Do you
high
want
tier D?
Do you want to? Do you want to? No, I'm saying like, do you want to search for what's the next game you want to do?
I'm just seeing what else you've got in here.
Okay.
Now let's just go to moving stuff then.
Okay.
So I'm gonna draw
Gundam Versus in B.
Bro, I don't even remember. Go. What were you saying, Retro?
Scroll back up to the top real quick, just so I can see.
Yeah.
I'm going to put. Yeah, everything in here is actually kind of solid where it's at. I'm gonna move Tekken 3 down to B.
Ooh, okay. Damn, that is rough.
Here's the
dude.
thing. I think it's good. I don't think it's held up as much as most people think it does.
Now, I want you to realize that would be your other remaining 2 moves, considering this is not a high tier. This is not a low tier move.
That's fine. I don't care.
Okay. You want this in B?
RPG, do you want to move that back up to A? Like,
I don't care enough to move that back up to A.
Damn,
So, yeah.
damn. I feel like Phil, of course, might have put that up there. I don't know.
no, I think Phil is probably who put Bloody Roar, all of them in there.
Oh my god.
No,
All
I
right.
think that was mostly backlog and I.
RPG, where would you like to move? You want to go back down to the lower tier, or have you seen anything?
Oh, are we doing me now?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So first of all, put Skullgirls to S.
Okay. Skullgirls and S.
You know what? And here's the thing, I genuinely do believe that Skullgirls is better than Marvel 2, so I'm not going to touch Marvel 2.
Oh my god, that hurts me.
Oh.
I genuinely believe it is the better game. I love both. I love Marvel 2, but because I love Marvel 2, I love Skullgirls even more. So, let's see what else are we going to do here. Is that Smash Ultimate over there in A?
It is in S.
Oh, in S? Fuck
Yeah.
that. Move Smash Ultimate down, God, at least one.
Okay.
Like,
You got one more move. You can either
I
pick from
got
the
one
low
more.
tier, or you can move from the high.
I gotta be honest, Smash Brothers Ultimate being that high still really irks me.
Well, okay, look, I'm sorry.
Smash Ultimate's
Whoa. First of all, I love Smash Ultimate. Second of all, it is one of the highest selling fighting games of all time. So if we're going by
It
business
is,
numbers, I know
It is.
melee
But we're
players
obviously
assault.
not going
Man's not
by
treating it
business
like a
numbers.
fighting game.
Where's
You could
MK11
Slap
at on this
City
list?
is up there, but
I mean,
Where's MK11 on this list? Because it's also one of the highest selling ones. So is it guaranteed in S?
hey, listen, I'm just saying you can make whatever argument you want. At the time when we were making this, you could make whatever argument you wanted for moving a fighting game up a tier.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have
well-
freaking Super Dragon Ball up in S tier for
Okay.
some reason, I mean, it happens.
well, cool, awesome. If I can do whatever I want, make another tier called "Fuck You" above S and put Skullgirls in it.
there are limits, because that would put it above chicken tenders,
That's
and
true.
that's actually against the law.
That is against the law.
I mean, I feel like moving chicken tenders up to that tier is just a free move, personally.
I think it's stuck at S because
Oh,
Raising
damn.
Cane's exists. So I'm just saying.
All right, so scroll down. Let me see. Is there anything here that you know what? You had dive kick at C, right? Move dive kick up to B. Dive kick was a good fucking time.
You know what? Fair.
What the fuck is dive kick?
To the left and down.
You want
There
that
you
in
go,
B
yeah.
tier?
Dive kick was a damn good time, and I stand by that. I think that goes into B tier.
See,
Wasn't there a character that every time he won, his head would get bigger?
Yeah, Jabali.
Jabali, yeah.
Oh, that's who it was. Okay, yeah.
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 Wasn't it actually just Jabali? Like,
Yeah.
quite
Yes,
literally.
it was actually Jabali, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Hey, man, if I had my way, I would just throw a bunch of like really terrible games up there because I like them, and Topal 2 is fun, and I'm the only one who has fun with it. It's great.
You know what? Scugs is an S. Dive kick went up a bit, and I knocked Ultimate down a peg. I'm very satisfied.
All right.
I won't ask that it be moved, but could you see if Air Guys is on the haven't played?
I'm pretty sure I've played Air Guys, so it probably isn't, but it might be in. Where is he? Air Guys even in here? Jesus Christ!
If it's not, that's fucking 0 out of 10 list because
Oh my
Air Guys
God.
God Bless the Ring is a classic.
Yeah, just for the
It's
menu
a
sound
game.
alone.
It's definitely a game that exists.
Air Guys.
Air Guys, we have Jin Kazama in it.
Oh my
No,
God!
I think we put it in B.
Did we put it in B?
There is no way somebody put Air Guys in B.
Bro, you're doubting my power.
I'll be
Oh,
Air
now
Guys
the idea that
apologist
Air,
all
if it is
day.
in there, If it is in there, then Air Guys and Tekken 3 being the same thing is making my day.
Hilarious.
You see, man, the thing about Air Guys is that menu sound. It just pushes it up to the next level. You know,
It almost blew out my ears when I tried streaming it like a month ago.
I don't actually see Air Guys in here. It's not even in here. But at least I don't think it is.
Wait. Is that fucking is Dong Dong Never Die in B along with fucking yeah, no, actually this is fucking based. This tier list is based. So
Bro, what, you guys don't enjoy some Dong Dong Never Die? Come on.
I love fucking Dong Dong Never Die. It's great.
Dude. I literally spent one night with my friends. I was sitting there with like a jacked up, like, because I couldn't map the buttons completely correctly. So I picked the dude with the machine gun, and my goal was to see how many times I could get an infinite with the machine gun. So I would just go like, like full screen, like just comboing. It was so much fun.
You heard it here first. Dong Dong Never Die, Tekken 3, same tier.
Godlike.
Can you
guys.
go
It's
back
godlike.
down to Never Played Again? I just want to see if you have it in here or not. No, I'm not. RPG, can you believe I'm not seeing any Choaniki in here?
Yeah, I can't believe it. Fuck.
So here's the thing. That's the other problem with this list is it's only since someone else made it. It's like there's all it's not. I don't have the knowledge of if it's actually in here. I just have to
There's a
look.
lot of stuff in
Okay,
here.
so here's the thing. I think the next week of you guys learning how to play a retro game should be both of you learning how to play Super Cho Anarchy. Retro, back me up on this.
Yes, do it.
So that's the thing is
We're
I'll
doing
coach you.
Jam Show 2016 or whatever.
we actually are learning Sam Show this week. We've already kind of made that decision.
So
we
then
can do
next week,
Super Choanki.
Super Cho Anarchy.
Is that the crazy one with the dudes and the
That's a way to
bodybuilders?
describe it.
Is that the one with the
That's a way.
bodybuilders?
That
And
certainly
also-
is a way to describe it.
I mean, yeah, there is that in it, but you also have Michelangelo's David. And you also have a woman who is a boat.
All right. Let me
This
at
is a
least
fighting
look.
game.
I would like to stream this game, and I don't want to get banned.
Oh, you won't. There's nothing in it
won't
that'll
get banned.
actually get you banned.
Yeah, nothing will actually get you banned. But
Could you
it's
stream
a
the
time.
Fist of the North Star game?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
if you
do-
can stream the Fist of the North Star game, then you can stream Choaniki. They're basically the same thing.
I actually I've not streamed Fist of the North Star. I thought you were asking me if I could, but
Here's the thing: you wanna do that? You tell me when you're doing it, because I got some basketball combos for you.
oh, sick, man. Are we gonna recreate
Yeah.
that one video on YouTube? I can't wait.
I love.
Now that is a Kusoge, and I love the shit out of it.
Hell yeah.
Everyone's broken. Yeah.
It's a fun game because there's a certain combo you can do that might break the game literally.
Yeah.
Like if you play it on actual arcade hardware, it could fry the board on it
Yes.
because it forces it to continuously reboot.
Holy shit.
yeah, and that is really in character for Fist of the North Star. That there is some combo that physically breaks the game.
My
Indeed.
local arcade has a cabinet with it, and there's a note on it that says, "If you do this, this is how much this machine will cost you."
Oh God. Wow. Yeah, I didn't even think of that. My God. All right, guys. So real quick, RPG. Where can people find you, man?
You can find me wherever you want at My Life is an RPG. So My Life is an RPG on TikTok, My Life is an RPG on YouTube, My Life is an RPG on Twitch. My Life is a _RPG on Twitter and Blue Sky because someone keeps fucking taking my name on short form social media. But otherwise, yeah, that's where you could find me. I stream a little bit of everything. I make science videos. I have a good time. And I would appreciate your follow.
Oh yeah. Retro. Where can people find you?
You can mostly find me over on TikTok under RetroRemastered. Kind of had a hiatus on videos. I'm going to be getting back onto that, but I do stream over there every day, usually around 8 p.m. Mountain Standard or Pacific Standard Time now.
Nice.
And you can find me over on YouTube at Retro Remastered Archives, where you can find all of my streams.
Accidentally doxed himself. But anyway.
Yeah.
Quint, where can people find you?
Twitch.tv/QuintessenceHD, x.com/QuintessenceHD, on the Backlog Podcast, the usuals.
I never heard of X. Never heard of that.
I know.
I've heard of Twitter though.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Rest in peace. Well, other than that, guys, it's been the Backlog Podcast number. What are we at? Like 69.
69. Nice.
Oh, the Heat episode.
The Heat episode. It's very apt.
Being in heat.
Until then, guys.
Garou review, by the way.
You know the title of the episode now.
Garou and Heat.
Wolves in Heat. Yes.
Wolves in Heat. Yeah.
Oh God.
We'll see you
That's
soon.
the title.
Peace out, y'all. Bye bye.
Peace.
We've been forsaken.